let me give you the model of a leader. What's the model of leading? Okay, to me, I mean, it's forgive me, it's not the model, it's my model in my opinion. But in my opinion, it's the model. So number one, as I said already, you need a vision. If you're going to work without clearly defined purpose, you cannot be a leader. Because leader implies that you have a destination in mind. I'm not leading into the dark, into nowhere. I'm leading toward the destination, obviously. So the word itself says, what is the destination of your organization? And I'm dealing with CEOs that have a good destination, but it's a secret. Nobody else in the company knows. But your own leadership, and it may be the leadership of yourself, not only your company, is what is the destination? What is my purpose?
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to talk about becoming a leader and truly understanding the difference between management and leadership. We also talk about tough conversations with the one and only Horst Schulze. He's a co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton. He's the author of Excellence Wins. He's been on the show before, episode number 703, if you're following along. But Horst is someone I look up to in the terms of leadership in a big way, not only because he's made an impact, but because the way he thinks about people, the way he cares about people. He talks a number of times today about loving on people and about not compromising. And leadership is certainly one of the hardest things to do and connect with, but it's our moral obligation he talks about. So I really love this interview. I really hope you'll love it. And my name is Gene Hammett. I'm the host of Grow Think Tank. I'm also an executive coach. We help leaders become stronger leaders, and we also help managers become the leaders that they need to be. If you're curious about any of that, make sure you check it out. We are also publishing a book very, very soon called How to Have Tough Conversations, me and my wife. So if any of these things interest you, please check it out. And here's the interview with Horst. Horst, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. I hope you're too.
I am. I was looking at it, almost 500 or 400 episodes that you've been on the show before. It's your second time. I really appreciate you coming back.
Then it's high time.
Well, we're here speaking with a co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton. And if you know the brand, you know that it stands for excellence. And he's also the author of Excellence Wins, and really excited to have you on the show to talk about leadership and the crisis that's going on right now in today's world.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, it's a crisis. It's a crisis in society as a whole, but it's also a crisis, and that kind of manifests itself in a society, in businesses. Because I tell you, I talk to a lot of people, a lot of leaders. I'm on several boards and I listen to the leaders there. It seems everybody is, and there's some very good managers there, and they do a good job and they're successful, mind you. I want to make that clear, but they're not leaders. They're not leaders. When you ask them, in fact, what is your vision? What is your purpose? In order to lead, you have to have purpose. Leading implies you're going toward a given destination. But when you ask them that, they give you a mission. What they're doing, we are doing this and this really well. Well, that's not a vision. That's what you're doing. But where will it take you ideally? And the next question, and then in a leader, and if they have it, the next question would be: do you know that vision is good for all concerned? Is it good for the organization? Is it good for every employee? Is it good for every customer? Is it good for society as a whole? If it's not, it's the wrong vision right there. You see, so, and when you dig into that, you find very few. I made in fact a survey. I found that, mind you, not a scientific survey, my survey. Okay, I looked at 65 general managers and who is the leader, who is not a leader, and I came with a conclusion that, pushing it a little bit, there were 5 out of 65 that were actual leaders. The rest were good managers, some good managers, some not so good managers, but not leaders. I can tell you, they were not leaders.
I want to ask you a question around that, because a lot of people step back. They have employees. People listening to the show are leaders of fast growth companies, and they have a lot of people, 100 people, whatever it may be. And they think that managing the process is enough. And for some roles, it probably is. But they complain to me about all the things about being proactive and all this stuff. How are you assessing whether someone's a manager or a leader?
Well, again, you have to be a good manager too, because you manage the processes and the systems and so on, but you lead the people. The leading the people meaning you are mobilizing everybody to the maximum. You create an environment in which everybody that works with you wants to do the job that the customer expects, not has to do the job. Managers make sure it happens, but otherwise you have to do the job. And you manage the process. So very clearly, if I have an organization where everybody wants to do the job, I have a better organization. There is no doubt on the end, I will have a better organization. And consequently, leadership is essential. But not only that, leadership is the moral thing to do. Because as manager, allow me to unpack that for a minute. As manager, I'm hiring people to fulfill certain functions. In my business, to cook food or check people in or clean rooms or whatever. So I'm hiring people as a manager to fulfill function. As a leader, I'm inviting people to join me on a journey. In the case of Ritz-Carlton or Capella, which was the company I formed after Ritz-Carlton, which by the way now is rated #1 hotel company in the world. I sold it 3 years ago. I invite people to join me on the journey of becoming the best in the world in our business. Become an example. It's totally different than hiring for a function. But you know, in a way, now let's be honest, and don't anybody get mad. In a way, there is an immorality to hire people just for function. After all, the chairs on which you're sitting, I like to give that as the example, the chairs on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function, but we hire human beings to join us. We cannot just hire them for function. And that's the difference that the manager hires for function. The leader hires to join somebody to join on a journey toward a clearly defined destination. And again, and that destination though must be good for all concerned.
I know a lot of CEOs are listening in, Horst. They probably value what you're saying. You have a lot of experience over the 50 years. Is it okay if I say 50?
Well, I can tell you, I started actually working as a busboy in a hotel 70 years ago. Bang, there you are.
All right. I remember that story. But if you're, talking to CEOs and they're like, okay, I hear what you're saying about leadership. What doesn't work to create leaders? Have you ever thought about what doesn't work?
To create leader? Yeah. Okay, let me give you the model of a leader. What's the model of leading? Okay, to me, I mean, it's forgive me, it's not the model, it's my model in my opinion. But in my opinion, it's the model. So number one, as I said already, you need a vision. If you're going to work without clearly defined purpose, you cannot be a leader. Because leader implies that you have a destination in mind. I'm not leading into the dark, into nowhere. I'm leading toward the destination, obviously. So the word itself says, what is the destination of your organization? And I'm dealing with CEOs that have a good destination, but it's a secret. Nobody else in the company knows. But your own leadership, and it may be the leadership of yourself, not only your company, is what is the destination? What is my purpose? With other words, the higher thing of purpose. Even the Bible said you will fail without purpose, and so on. So purpose. What? And oh, by the way, and Aristotle said you cannot be fulfilled without purpose and belonging. So purpose. What is your purpose? Your destination. Number one, and that's the first word that you can write down. Purpose, vision. Below that, write commitment. Once you determine that, you have to fully commit yourself to that purpose. After you say, is it good for all concerned? So it's not a pipe dream. It's a commitment now. Next, you have to say, very simply, what are the initiation? What do I have to initiate? What do I have to do to accomplish that purpose? Once you clearly identify the purpose, you know what to do to get there. You will know that. If you don't know it, you don't know. You just do things. So vision or purpose, commitment, initiation. And then put a big line underneath. And here is where they all fall down. Here is where they all fall down. And that is focus. Focus on the vision, because all of a sudden they find an excuse it cannot be done because, and it doesn't down and then they said, well, it's not an excuse, it's a reason. Well, no, buddy. If you can think about it and really work about it, it can be done. So it is this focus, and that's, I learned that. I looked at that very careful with 65 managers. They all found an excuse. Can I tell you a little story here?
Yeah.
I visited, as a corporate guy, I visit the general manager picks you up on the airport, of course. Oh, and we're so glad you're here, which of course is a lie. Nobody wants corporate office to visit. But they pick you up, they take me the limousine. On the way, I was in Milwaukee. Very simple. On the way in, oh, Horst, we're so glad you're here. Okay, yeah. And in a conversation, and I make it short, of course, I said, so how do you like Milwaukee now that you're here 1.5 years? And he said, it's a hick town, and I can't wait to be moved out. I understood. I would rather work in New York too, bigger. And then the next thing is, how do you like the labor force? Blue collar, no service culture. Okay. And then I ask him, now listen to this. Then I ask him, what is your objective with your hotel? How will your hotel be established in Milwaukee in a year from now? I'm asking him for a vision of the hotel. And here's what he answered. He said, if I had a bigger ballroom, if my restaurant wasn't on the second floor, but had a street entrance, if this and this, he had excuses for a vision that he didn't even have. And that is so common.
Yeah.
And I went now, and this hit me so hard that I said, I have to study this. And for the next 3 years, I studied every general manager. And 60 had the same type of thing. Immediately, if they had a vision, immediately said, but here is why this is a problem. This is maybe not possible. Always excuses. And I frankly came to the conclusion that's the deep insecurity that has to something ready in case they don't make it.
I have a pet peeve. You probably do too. Excuses and blaming others in leadership don't work.
It doesn't work. And mind you, the excuse won't give you anything. The vision is the beauty, the reward, the honor, the successes. The excuse that you find won't give you anything, not even a gallon of milk.
Now, Horst has been talking about vision. It is a really important part of this. If you are curious about a worksheet that you could actually just fill out, I want to give it to you for free. All you have to do is send me an email, gene@genehammett.com, and just ask for the vision. I don't have an opt-in for this. I don't have the fancy tools that you might be used to, but send me an email, gene@genehammett.com, and I will send you the worksheet on vision. I'll send you an example of what our vision is so that you can kind of see what the end goal is. And it really will help you not only write your vision, but how do you communicate it out with the world and your people? Back to Horst. Horst, I asked the question again about what doesn't work, because a lot of people think that we can take a book. I love your book, Excellence Wins. And there's a lot of principles in there. We do it. But if we could be better leaders just because of a book was written and we read it, we would all be rich. We would all be thin. We would all be happy and sleep, 8 hours every night. What doesn't work in the journey of creating leaders in our companies?
Well, wait a minute. It doesn't. It obviously doesn't work reading it. You have to apply it. You have to apply it. All right. Let's be honest again. What works is to concentrate. I believe that the huge break is once you determine purpose and concentrate on purpose. The huge break. And then the next thing, of course, is the understanding, the simple intellectual understanding, which should be easy, that your people will be better people if they want to do the job. In other words, you give them purpose too. I don't hire people to come and fulfill a certain function. I hire people. Do you want to join me? Now here it is. Now please be with me here, particularly with millennials. Do you want to join me to make this the finest hotel company in the world? And if you take that journey and accomplish that, here is how you will benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the millennials always say, what's in it for me? I'll tell them right away when I hire them. I said, don't come to work for me. Join me on this journey. And if we go there, here's what's in it for me. You will be highly respected. You will be defined as being excellent. You will have opportunity because we grow. You will make me make more money. You can go outside and be defined by the name of the company as somebody special. You tell them already during the hiring process that, and then during the orientation process. So you connect as the leader that has a great purpose, you connect them to the purpose. and the value of that purpose. It is what Adam Smith said 300 years ago. Guys, this is not new. 300 years ago in Adam Smith's second book, Not Wealth of Nations, he started a human being and he came to the conclusion, now get this, human beings cannot relate to orders and direction. And what do? We give orders and direction. He said, he made it very clear, people can only relate to objective, purpose, okay, vision, objective, and motive. But give them the objective, give them the motive, for crying out loud. I mean, we know it for 300 years. But we know for 3,000 years that people cannot be fulfilled without purpose and belonging. That is Aristotle. So why don't we take this art of knowledge that has been verified ever since by every behavioral analyst? Why don't we take that and apply it? And that means leadership. Now, leadership, and this word, these things, leadership, born, not born, come on. Leadership is an action, just like everything else. Sure, the style may be better for leading or not, but it's still an action of inviting people, an action making sure people are informed, the action of making sure that they are part of the organization. And so those are actions and processes. So leaders don't have to be born. Now, some style works better than the other. Yeah, sure. But leadership is not something that you must be born with.
I do believe we create leaders, and it takes time, it takes coaching, it takes a lot of support, and it's very different than managing work. And people confuse those two. So I really appreciate you highlighting this today. I want to change our direction a little bit.
In fact, there's a school nearby that teaches for young people intrinsic leadership, meaning the deeper you that makes you a leader. You know, how do you learn it? Go to take a class like that and so on, and you will become a leader. So it's not, don't wait or think you're not born like it, which I hear all the time. That's very silly. I'm sorry.
I want to switch gears with you. I have been in the background since we've last had you on the show this past year, written a book with my wife, who is part of our company. And the title of that book is How to Have Tough Conversations.
What a great title.
It's a very on the nose
book. I like
book.
it right now. I like it already.
You like it already. What is the problem with people today in work in their avoidance of these tough conversations?
Very, very simple. Very simple. I work with so many managers. I see it. They want to be nice because they want it's leadership objective. If I want to have a tough conversation with somebody, and I get them in the office and get done, and that's when I'm really serious and close the door. I'm not having that conversation so that he thinks afterwards I'm a nice guy. I'm having that conversation to help that person.
Yeah.
But I go in there with the objective to caring for that person, but being honest with the person, but have a good heart. And I would not have that conversation. I would be very tough, but I would tell him on the end, I love you. And that's why I'm tough with you. I will make that clear too. But I'm not going to make a speech tomorrow. I make a lot of speeches to big companies and so on and organizations. Tomorrow I'm flying to Austin, Texas, make a speech for a lot of people. I'm not going to make that speech so that people like me. I'm making a speech so that I give them something. That means I have to be honest with them, even though some of them may be insulted by what I'm saying. I'm not going to do that to just go in there for my purpose. And that's the thing. And people have conversations and they're always in their mind, oh, I want them to like me. That ends the tough conversation. No, I want to give them something. You know, guys, if you deal with your own employees and your own people, managers, let me say something to you managers. The greatest honor as a manager that you have is that you have the opportunity to positively impact the life of many. And you don't do that by just being a nice guy. But we do that by helping them to improve as human beings, as managers, as leaders themselves. And that sometimes means you have to be very honest and strict with them, but loving them at the same time. They're human beings. So I have no problem going in and saying, buddy, I really have, and be very honest, but I will tell them, I love you, I care for you, and I want to help you. That's why I'm doing this. But you better do it. I will not compromise. I will not compromise because I cannot compromise with you and consequently hurt many others. I'm here for all.
Horst just talked about, I want to give them something. As a leader, you're giving them the chance to grow. You're giving them a chance to really be something special and grow to be the person they want to be. They're not just doing a job. He said over and over, you're inviting them on a mission. Remember that over and over. You're inviting others on a mission. When you think about that, are you doing a good job at this? Are you communicating it well? Are you selecting the right people to be on the mission with you? Or are you just selecting people to do a role or a function? Be mindful of the people that you select to join you in this mission, because it will make a difference in your success and how far you can go. Back to Horst. You've shared with me a really important tool, and it stuck with me for the last few years. You came to do a small little workshop that I put together with CEOs, and you spoke for free. I appreciate that. But
I don't do that very often.
I get it, and I don't do it either for my business as well. So I really appreciate that. But you held up 5 fingers when it was in a conversation where I said they're having trouble with people that are out of alignment, which is the reason why we have tough conversations, because people are out of alignment. And you said you can't choose the many, the 5, over the few. Do you remember this?
Oh, sure.
Can you give me just a little take on the many over the few? Choosing that it's dangerous, but
yeah. Well, it really comes back to what I said, and I don't put it in totally other words. That is why I'm writing also in the book Excellence Wins, and I write on this no compromise. Let me tell you, you have no. You see that. Let me go back to this, because this is fitting, and this is so important. You have to be aware as the leader what your responsibility is, and your responsibility is for all. And if you run a company or run a department, and by the way, you can translate that into you as an individually leading yourself individually, generally, but in a business now, you have to understand you're responsible for the owners, for the investors. You're responsible for the customer. You're responsible for the employees, and you have a responsibility to society as a whole. So it has to be good for them. So when there is an issue and you compromise, this is really where it is. And we have to be tough as a leader. And if there's an issue and it's easy and convenient and flattering to you to compromise, well, you're now going against the owners, you're going against the employees, you're going against society, you're going against everybody. And you have absolutely no right to do that. You have no right.
Mm-hmm.
Your decisions has to be for all concerned. And that is one of the big manager versus leader issue. The leader understands that, but the leader does it caringly for all, including the individual that he is dealing with right now. He or she, doesn't matter, dealing with right now, but he cannot compromise. Has to lay the rule. If I walk into a hotel with the red carpet and so on, and there is the tiniest speck you can imagine on the floor, I would stop and say, I'm sorry, that's not our standard. In the moment when I walk by, I set a new standard. I just lowered the standard. But this is true. This is true in the behavior and responses of your employees, of your people that work with you, even the key executives. Then you call them in the office, your key executive, and say, unacceptable, my friend, no matter who you are, unacceptable. We are here for all concerned. Tell me who it is, help me to understand. And I cannot compromise. I cannot do things that are convenient with me, avoiding conflict and so on. No, those are the people that are never will be good managers and leaders. They're the only ones. It can be learned. The ones that just are scared of any conflict. I cannot avoid that. But the conflict has to happen to help people, not to be get a kick out of being tough with people. That exists too.
I want to wrap up today in respect of your time, in respect of our listeners. Any final words you want to talk about with tough conversations that we can center on today?
Yeah, let me say them, and love them. Have the tough conversations. Let me give you an example here for a minute. Allow me. And I said that very often. Husbands. There's a leadership role being a husband. Mm-hmm. in a very important relationship, maybe the most important, your marriage. When did you have a tough conversation? When, husband? Let me shock you. Have you sat down with your wife and said, how can I be a better husband? That's a tough conversation. Oh, we're too much for that, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's not different at work. Come in here, have a tough conversation to improve, to become better, to continuously improve, to be excellent. Excellence is not luck. Excellence is high intent and hard work.
Great way to finish today, Horst. Thank you for being here, being a part of the podcast a second time. I've always appreciated it, and I've appreciated getting to know you over the years.
Delighted to be with you. All the best. And with your book, good title. Good. I like it. People should read something like that. That's great.
Wow, what a great interview. I just want to pause for a second here. I'm honored to have someone like Horst come on the show for a second time. He's very busy and he's in demand, but I love his insights. I love that he cares for people and he's so clear with the need for purpose and vision in our businesses and how we need to become leaders. And how tough conversations can't be avoided and we can't just compromise ourselves. And so all of these things were just such a powerful impact. And this is all without him reading the book, but I know that he's going to give us an accolade around the book. And so hopefully I appreciate this. You checking out how to have tough conversations would really be honoring both of us today. Thank you for being here. As always, when you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. Lead with courage. We'll see you next time.